Well, hello again, everyone, and welcome to our latest webcast that we're bringing you from Travel Weekly. And I'm thrilled today to be in the offices of Abercrombie and Kent Travel Group in London. And I'm here with Deborah Fox, who is the recently appointed Managing Director for the UK and APAC region. And we are so excited that you are back in London, Deb. How are you?
Oh, great, Lucy. It's so good to see you again. And it's particularly great to be back in London. I just love being in the UK.
Yeah, well, we of course have met in your previous life. So before we start and talk about what you're going to be doing here, can you just give us a potted history of your travel career? Because we met when you were at APT, but you've had other roles as well.
Yeah. So I've been in travel for, let's just say, a couple of decades. I don't really want to put an actual number on it, but let's say a couple of decades. But I've owned my own travel agencies, as well as having worked with some of the big consortia, such as Amex and Thomas Cook. So when I was with Thomas Cook, I did quite a bit of work here in the UK, as well as in Australia. And then for many years with the incredible APT Travel Group as well, which is where I first met Lucy, and the UK team was a team that I worked very closely with. So I love working with the UK. And then that takes me to where we are today.
Yeah, but you've been in Australia, haven't you? You've been sort of looking after that side of the business, but since 2023, am I right?
Yeah, close,
Okay.
22.
Okay.
So 3 years, nearly coming up for 3 years, I've been with A&K. And it was such an exciting time to join the company because this huge evolution, moving from A&K, the brand, into the A&K Travel Group,
Yeah.
then bringing in Crystal,
Yes.
Cox and Kings, of course, and it's been an extraordinary evolution. And so during that time, while I've been looking after Australia and Asia, I've worked so closely with the UK. We've collaborated on a lot of different initiatives as we're going into this growth stage. And so when the opportunity came up to also be involved with the UK, I jumped at it. So it's been an absolute privilege to be appointed to work in the UK, and I get to keep working with the Aussies as well, so there'll be a lot of stronger ties between Australia and the UK, which works brilliantly because we are so trade centric in Australia and here in the UK. The trade are everything. So first of all, thank you. And that's something that we're going to continue to really focus on and grow our partnerships.
Great. All right. Well, we will come back to that. I want to talk about that. But I know when you were appointed, basically they said nobody better to drive our growth and expansion. So I don't know how much you can tell us today, but perhaps you can just talk to us about your vision for this market particularly, and then maybe we can go through each of the brands individually.
Yeah.
And you can talk about what growth and expansion we can expect to see.
Yeah, I think that's a great place to start. So with the AKTG network of brands now, if we look at A&K first of all, we've got our rebrand that we launched in late December and January. And with that is coming a lot of expansion around the experiences that your customers and guests can have with A&K. So it's really about this adventurous spirit, this exploration. And we're developing products and new regions to really be able to deliver that growth and expansion in that region. So for me, what we'd like to do is get that word out, educate more on what is coming up, and find even more customers, more of your guests who may consider A&K as their perfect way to travel.
So in fact, we just had a release about new culinary tours. Is that sort of an example of what you mean?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're going to have wellness, we've got culinary. So we've got new experiences coming out and being developed. So for example, just hot off the press yesterday is around our new lodge in Moab in the USA.
Yeah.
And that's going to be taking A&K guests to a new level of adventure in the USA. We're doing feasibility studies throughout Latin America at the moment, in particular Bolivia, also in Australia up in the Kimberley, to look at some potential expansion in those areas as well.
And do you think people do still very much think of A&K as Africa then, and so you're trying to educate that there is just you go to much more than that?
Well, I think that's it, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, that's our homeland and where we started in Africa. But those experiences of exploration and adventure, that spirit, is really can be anywhere in the world. So it's about replicating that sense of adventure in new regions and taking clients to have those experiences in new regions.
And would you then be focusing on existing clients who are just looking for, are they asking you for more product and new things to do so you can sort of get them to come returning to you each year?
Well, if I look at the UK client in particular, that is exactly what's happening. They're getting more and more adventurous.
Right.
So they're wanting, what next can we have? Where some nationalities are more conservative, we're certainly finding here it's going the other way. So we really want to be able to develop products and experiences to keep them coming back, and to give them another reason to do an incremental trip, or just to choose A&K.
Yeah, which is great for agents as well if they get repeat business. Once they've got that client, if they can keep them, that's fantastic. And I'm sure the remuneration for agents is pretty good on some of these very high value experiences.
And I think that's another important aspect is when the clients do repeat travel, they spend more each time.
Do they?
So each time they repeat, they'll have a bigger share of wallet that they'll share. So it's really lucrative.
Because they're reassured, they know that they know what they're
They
getting.
understand.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
And you mentioned at the start you're trying to get new customers as well, though. So that's you're doing stuff to keep the ones you've got. But when you talk about new customers, who are you trying to target then? I mean, are you seeing your customer demographic change, and who are you trying to get to now?
So traditionally we would have been 55, 60 over. What we're seeing now is the greater number of our travellers are under 65. So that 45 to 55 is the biggest growth area we have at the moment, as well as maintaining that 65 plus cohort as well. So when you're thinking of adventurous holidays, exploration for your clients, really think about A&K for that 45 to 55 set as well, and then families. So we're seeing a huge increase in families.
Wow.
Multi-generational, it can be 3 generations, or it can just be parents and their
adolescent children. And do they just join a regular tour, or are you putting on more bespoke kinds of, holidays and experiences for families?
One of our biggest areas of growth for families is our small group touring.
Okay.
So because we have up to 18 people, an average of 14 on a tour, you can put a family on the small group tour and they're not overshadowed by a large group. They're part of a more intimate group.
Yeah.
So that has made life really easy for families. But of course, tailor-made, bespoke is made for families as well, because you can really create it exactly to what it is that they desire.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you've mentioned tours there, group tours. Should we just have a little chat about Cox and Kings then, and what's happening with that brand specifically? Because I know you've got an MD also running Cox and Kings, I guess, to explain how that's working.
Yep. So Cox and Kings is going through a huge global expansion. When we bought it in 2019, we just hit the ground running with it. Yes, COVID got in the way, but since COVID, last year was the best year we've had on record for Cox and Kings, as it was for A&K as well. So thank you. So with Cox and Kings, we can see a real opportunity to expand this out into Australia, into the US as well, but Australia is going to be the first place that we look at expanding that out. So Jennifer Charlton, who is head of our trade sales, you may all be very familiar with, has been appointed as MD. So she'll work very closely with me in that expansion into Australia, but also expanding out the product in this market as well. Once again, as we see your guests want more and more adventurous options.
Yeah, but just for people who perhaps don't know your brands then, because obviously you do tours within A&K, and then you've got escorted tours as well within, as part of Cox and Kings. So what, if you've got a client, when should you sell them A&K, when should you sell them Cox and Kings? What are the differences?
So I would position a Cox and Kings client as someone who's more value driven, but they are also more adventurous than an A&K client. So even though an A&K client loves that sense of exploration and adventure, they really want adventure by day, luxury by night. The difference with Cox and Kings is that they want that adventure, but the type of accommodation that they stay in will be different. So it'll be more, broadly speaking, 4-star, but very boutique, small, intimate, and it's just not at that same elevated level as what you would have as A&K, but it's incredible value.
And that means that within the group, you know, depending on what the client wants or what type of thing
Yeah.
they're looking for or their budget, then you've got something you can offer them.
Something for both.
Yeah.
So A&K more elevated, and Cox and Kings is for that super adventurous person who's very value orientated, but also curious, a very curious traveller as well. So you could think of educational professionals are a big cohort that would go to Cox and Kings.
Yeah, and are you seeing particular trends in terms of the customers that are taking a Cox and Kings holiday? Are there any trends there that are really standing out for you, or is it following quite in line with what you've seen A&K with age and stuff?
Yes, the age group's not moving as quickly as the A&K age group is, so it's more that 50 plus for Cox and Kings, where we're starting to skew slightly younger for A&K. But the regions are very similar between the two of them. So you've got Africa, Asia, India and LATAM America for both brands has been huge. For Cox and Kings also that Egypt and Morocco area.
Okay, all right, so that's fantastic. And you know, you said you had your best year ever for both brands. What do you put that down to? If people just really now over their sort of COVID fear and then now really wanting to explore the world again, or why are you doing so well? Or have you put your prices up, or what's happened?
Yeah, it is around more people travelling with us.
Okay.
The biggest contribution to that will be our trade partners. So our trade partners last year, and we're seeing again this year in Q1, is our largest growth that we've ever seen with trade partner sales. So we're getting a lot more recommendations coming through to us from our trade partners. But I think that people don't want to put off travel. And even though there's a lot of things happening in the world, they're out of our control. And I think, as you would all know and we know, you've got to focus on what is in your control. And people want to travel and they want to explore, they want to be curious, and they don't want to put it off.
Yeah.
And that definitely contributes towards the growth that we're seeing as well.
Yeah.
And particularly the types of trips that we do, I think that that's becoming more and more important for people.
Because it's quite bucket list and quite special, you mean? Because people used to save it, didn't they? But now they're like, well, hang on, we'll do it now.
They do, yeah.
Okay,
they do.
so you see, okay, all right, and then obviously, I just mentioned their price. Are people? I know you've got your value conscious customers of Cox and Kings, but in general, are you seeing that the prices are edging up, and therefore agent commissions are moving up, or what's happening with price?
Price is moving up.
Yeah.
Certainly between 24 and 25 we did see some price increases, and that's just the world over. We know that cost of hotels, etc. has gone up. So there is some price increase, which of course in turn means a higher commission for you.
Yeah.
But we're seeing into 26 that has not moved as much at all. So the 26 pricing is excellent. So I think that's worth having a look at. Our small group journeys will be out shortly, and our tailor-made, of course, 26 is already on sale now, but I think you'll be quite pleased to see what's happening with pricing into 26.
And in this sort of luxury, what was the booking curve like? I mean, do people tend to book quite far out, or are you still seeing lates even for this year, or perhaps you haven't got availability, I don't know. But what's in your market, what are you seeing in terms of when people are prepared to book and commit?
Yeah, so between 6 and 9 months is what we see as the general
for
booking
both
window.
A&K and Cox and Kings.
Slightly shorter for Cox and Kings,
Yeah.
a little bit longer for A&K.
Yeah.
But 25, and I think because of world events, some people have put off their decision making for that extra trip and then saying, no, we're going to go.
Okay.
So we're seeing quite a lot of late booking patterns
With a really short lead time before they're departing.
Yep.
Okay, that's really
particularly into Egypt.
Yeah.
We're still getting some late Africa. Asia's a little harder because of availability, but LATAM as well for A&K.
And what about people not going to the States? You seeing any of that? We've got quite a few people saying that there's been a bit of a drop in people wanting to go.
It's definitely softened.
It's softened,
Yeah, definitely softened.
Okay, all right. Let's just, we'll come on to Crystal in a second, but let's just talk about agents, because you mentioned there more business through the trade, which is fantastic. Are you working with different agents, or are you just getting more business from your existing partners? How's that panning out?
Well, we've put together a new travel trade team. So it's headed up by someone you'll all know, Bryony Bolton, and Bryony has got a new team on board. We've got another 2 team members about to be announced in the coming weeks as well. So she'll have a team of 4 strong, And what they'll be doing is, what we've seen, I should say, first of all, we've seen new agents coming through to us. And that's going to be a continuing focus for us, is to work with our current partners and how we can partner with you to grow even further. But we are really keen to build new partnerships out there as well with our team.
And are these people in high streets? Are they home workers? Are they concierge? Where's the growth coming from?
Home workers, definitely some great growth out of the home workers as well. High street's always going to be our foundational partners, but the home based.
Yeah, which are harder to get to, but I guess that's probably why you're increasing your sales team, so you can actually get to them.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, fantastic. Let's talk, I don't want to run out of time and not talk about Crystal, because I know you look after that, and two ships there and a team in place as well for Crystal. So tell us what the plans are there, because you announced some orders for ships up until 2032, I understand, but tell us what's happening there.
It's exciting, huh?
Yes.
So we've been in the water nearly 2 years now with our two gorgeous ships, Serenity and Symphony, and the development of the experiences on those ships has just been extraordinary, particularly around the culinary offering as well. So we've just introduced Beef Bar in recent months. We have the Alamo brothers redoing our Osteria menu. That comes on, I think, maybe around July in the summertime. We'll see that come live as well for our clients. And then we've got the new ship builds as well. So starting in 2028, we'll have the first of 3 ships coming online. So it's a really exciting time for Crystal. And Crystal in Q1 this year also had its best quarter as well.
Okay. Because there was a little bit of a hiccup for a while, wasn't it? And I know I think you lost a few customers because of the transfer. But are you now getting those customers back, or are you attracting new customers to Crystal?
Yeah, it was a tough start for some agents. There's some agents that had a pretty rough time coming out of the old Crystal, and some clients as well. But we've seen a return to try the new Crystal. And what we're seeing is huge return to cruising. So for those who have come back to Crystal, we're seeing them coming back the second and third time. So those repeat rates are really going up. But new to Crystal is critically important to us as well.
And I guess now, because Crystal's owned by A&K, do you find you get some A&K clients willing to try cruise?
Yeah.
That's
we
that's
do.
quite a nice new source market.
And vice versa, because what we're able to do is combine the A&K land travel with the cruise and combine that to deliver something really unique in the market.
That's fantastic. What proportion of your customers will be doing a cruise and stay then with the A&K land?
At the moment, it's at its infancy. Yeah. But we expect it to be a significant number of our customers over the next couple of years.
It's a no-brainer.
Just makes complete sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And in terms of the new build, I think you've got the first 2 are going to be just ocean regular, not regular with Crystal, I know, but regular ocean ships, and then the second 2 are slated to be expedition ships. Is that still that was what was said initially? Is that still the plan?
Expedition ships are still on the horizon, so we're full steam ahead with the build of our classic ships, and then expedition's still on the horizon.
Yeah, so that is a market, because it's a growth market for cruise. Absolutely. And it's something that would fit with your whole ethos, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. Particularly under AKTG. Yeah. With that exploration style.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So that's but we don't know dates for that yet, but that will be announced at some stage.
As soon as we've got something that we can share with everyone, we'll be sure to let you know.
And in terms of the team at Crystal then, so Stephen Joyner running the team, but you've added more people into that team as well.
Yes, we've got a larger team. So I work really closely with the head of sales globally for Crystal. And that's to increase our footprint here in the UK, which is one of our biggest growth markets as well for Crystal.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it sounds like an awful lot is going on across those 3 brands, and it sounds like the UK market is very important to the group in general.
It's critically important. And we just see such a continuing bright future for the UK. It's been the homeland for A&K for decades, so the future growth of the UK is just paramount to us. And with everything that we've got going on with the new builds, all of our sanctuary products,
Yeah, we didn't even talk about Sanctuary and the new name, because
Yeah,
that's now
A&K
A&K Sanctuary.
Sanctuaries, yeah.
We've dropped the retreats, but I mean, has that gone down well?
Yeah, it's just been a really natural progression for that brand to fit under A&K, and the new branding that's gone with it. And it just comes at the right time because of the rebuilds we're doing, such as Baines, Gorilla Forest Lodge, which opens next month, I think it is. So we've got the new Pura Amazon ship as well.
Yes.
And then in Amboseli, Kitty Rua, which is due to open next year alongside Mexico. So we also have a property that we're developing in Mexico as well, which we're looking at expanding out to even more.
Oh my goodness.
So it's
I'm very impressed that you're remembering not just where you're building or where you're opening things, but also all the names, because they're not easy. So you've done.
I surprise myself sometimes, Lucy.
Well, we are so thrilled that you're here in the UK and that you've got such a drive to grow this market and to work through the trade. So we just want to thank you so much for your time today and taking us through it all.
Lucy, it's just been a pleasure, and thanks to everyone. It's such a privilege to be here, and we can't wait to work with you even more than we are now. So thank you.
Perfect. Thanks, Deb.